family. I got us either you or me. That's just how I think it's either you or me.
We live in the mix, let's go.
Life got too deep for you, baby. 2 or 3 of us about the creek where they staying. Black leather gloves, no sequins. Buckles on the jacket, it's elite. Nike crossbody got a piece in it. Gotta dance, but it's really on some street. I'ma show you how to get it. It go right foot up, left foot slide.
You can slide if you want to, come on.
Right foot slide. Basically, I'm saying either way, we bout to slide. Hey, can't let this one slide. Hey. 2C slide, then I hit it double time. Then I hit a spin, cause we spun that block a couple times. If it's not the right time, it'll always be another time. I'm not even tripping, we'll just see him in the summertime. Whoa, yeah. Can't describe the pressure I be putting on myself, yeah. Really, I just can't afford to lose nobody else, yeah. If they moving shaky, we'll just do it themselves. Well, if I'm moving shaky, Chelsea do it himself, yeah. So low, don't they YOLO for real? Heard a lot about you, but we don't know for real. Next time, guarantee the truth will get revealed. Black leather glove, no sequins. Yeah, buckles on the jacket, it's elite. Nike crossbody got a piece in it. Gotta dance, but it's really on some street. I'ma show you how. It go right foot up, left foot slide.
All my new people in that chat.
Right foot slide. Basically, I'm
saying. Let me know where y'all coming in from.
Slide, hey, can't let this one slide. Hey. Don't you wanna dance with me? No, I could dance like Michael Jackson.
You get that juice if you want to, come on.
I could get you the passion. It's a thriller in the track. Where we from? Baby, don't you wanna dance with me? No, I could dance like Michael Jackson. I could get you satisfaction. And you know we out here every day with it. I'ma show you how to get it. It go right foot up, left foot slide, left foot up, right foot slide. Basically, I'm saying either way, we about to slide. Who's back?
Baby, want no smoke with me? Okay. Then turn this mug up 800 degrees. Whole team eat chefs cause she's a treat. She's so bougie.
We just get started, come on.
I'm a savage, attitude nasty. Talk big, but my bank account matching. Hood, but I'm classy. Rich, but I'm ratchet. Haters kept my name in their mouth, not a gag.
Ladies.
Bougie. He say the way that thing move, it's a movie. I tell you, well, we gotta keep it lowly, me the room key. I done bled the block and now it's hypertrophy. I'm mood and I'm moody. I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty. Acting stupid, what's happening? What's happening? I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty. Hacking, stupid, what's happening? What's happening?
Hips tick tock when I dance. On that demon time, she might start her OnlyFans. Big B and that B stand for bands. If you wanna see some real baby, here's your chance. I say left cheek, right cheek, drop it low and swing. Texas up in this thing, put you up on this game. I be talking my friend, gang, 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 gang. If you don't jump to put jeans on, baby, you don't feel my pain. You gon' give me hype, write my name in ice. Can't argue with these lazy basics, I just raise my pipes. I'm a boss, I'm a leader, I put love in my two-seater, and my mama was a savage. Got this here from Tina, I'm a savage. Yeah.
Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty.
We going all in today, let's get it.
And stupid, what's happening? What's happening? I'm a savage. Yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty. Hacking, stupid, what's happening? What's happening? Like Beyonce, like me. He wanna like the stallion with the knees. He be like, damn, how that thing moving in the jeans. Even B4L couldn't do it like me, like me.
This body ready just for you. And I hope you don't catch me messing around with you. Talking to myself and
y'all tell me good morning, let's go.
I need a mouth to clean the floors, too much trip. I keep a knot, I keep a watch, I keep a whip. Let's play games, Simon says I'm still in check. I'm still in black. I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty. Acting stupid, what's happening? What's happening? I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet.
We live in the mix, let's go for it.
what you see. Everything designer, that's on me. That's why that when I walk, looking like you, just tryna. Yeah. This trip got you in heat. You stumbling, baby girl, hop on it. Yeah, you know that I'm on beat. All this shit got you beat. Cause I some kind of love. Girl, I know that you ready. Girl, I'm not gonna let you down. I ain't gon' keep you waiting. If you go ahead, it's gon' get knocked up. You playing hide and seek.
You get the vibes going this morning. Come on.
Baby, hold on tight when you ride me.
Matter, bring your hat out or something.
Give me options. If you throw it, it's gon' get knocked up. I wanna get it. Alright, so my ego. Baby, we gon' keep it simple. You got that love on me. You like it what you see. Everything designer, that's on me. That's why that when I walk, looking like you, just tryna, yeah. This trip got you in heat. You stumbling, baby girl, hop on it. Yeah, you know that I'm on beat. All this shit got you beat. This shit got you in heat. Super whale juices running down her knee. No stylist in the saline. Got you flying with an icy bit of a lid. Pretty nights inside the mansion by the beach. Pretty prints all on your baby, suit your stylist so you need. Some beds inside your room, designer garments for the week. And that's all on me, I swear that's all on me. You really want it, you gon' get it. Once I you good, I got you. In your feelings, Perky bands and go your pouches. Got you dripping, I can listen more. Counting digits, cherishing the riches. You like it what you see. Everything designer, that's on me. That's why that when I walk,
We live in the mix. Come on.
looking like you, just tryna, yeah. This trip got you in heat. You stumbling, baby girl, hop on it. Yeah. You know that I'm on beat. All this shit got you beat. Give me that bitches up. Track money, Benny. Got me in my feelings. Gotta be real with it. Yeah. Kiki, you love me. Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you. And I'm down for you always, baby. Do you love me? Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you.
No, y'all turn up front.
But the new me is really still the real me. I swear you gotta feel me before they try and kill me. They gotta make some choices, they running out of options. Cause
Good morning.
off and they don't know when to stop. And when you get I see that you've been learning. And when I take a job, you was feeling like you burned it. And when you popped off, when your ex, he deserved it. I thought you would've won from the jump that confirmed it. Track money, Benny. I buy you champagne, but you love me. From the block like you Jenny. I know you special, girl, cause I know too many things. Yo, do you love me? Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you. And I'm down for you always, KT. Do you love me? Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you. And I'm down for you always.
Too bad, then we kissing in a wave, kissing in a wave, kissing in a wave. I need that black card and the code to the safe, code to the safe, code to the safe.
I show them how to network. Netflix and chill. What's your net worth?
Cause I want you, and I need you. And I'm down for you always. And I'm down for you always. And I'm down for you, down for you, down for you always.
I got a new boy and a trade.
Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you. And I'm down for you always, baby. Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Cause I want you, and I need you. Here, right. Now let me see you. Now let me see you.
Cash Cash Money Records taking over for the 99 in the 2000. Back yeah, Miss Back yeah, nigga, with cash yeah, it's last yeah, girl.
We already here, let's go.
We
already here in the morning, let's go for it, come on.
You can smoke a fire bag yeah, a grass yeah, money like a flash yeah, and trash yeah. I'm a bitch, I'm a boy yeah, gun spray yeah, I play head fluid yeah, go ahead feeling yeah. Like I be slinging wood yeah, I'm out the hood yeah, let it be understood yeah, it's all good yeah. Got a can't see me loud yeah, on the hard yeah, you a cool here broad yeah, I want you draw yeah, what you can do a trick yeah, on the stick yeah, you claiming you want a bitch yeah, they ain't it yeah, I'm the daddy with the money yeah, don't make money yeah, got words and the money yeah, about 100 yeah, girl you look good, want you back that thing up, you a big fine woman, want you back that thing up, I'm the big daddy when you back that thing up, girl who is you playing with, back that thing up, girl you look good, want you back that thing up, you a big fine woman, want you back that thing up, I'm the big daddy when you back that thing up, girl who is you playing with, back that thing up, girl you look good, want you back that thing up, you a big fine woman, want you back that thing up, you gotta put it back yeah, make me laugh yeah, nigga put it on the grab yeah, on the grab yeah, I'm sweating in the dog yeah, all long yeah, wanna walk it like a dog yeah, break it off yeah, get mine you don't get yours yeah, that for sure yeah, you're messing with my nerves yeah, to the curb yeah, I know you women know yeah, ain't it show yeah, but the truth got some more yeah, I'm about to flow yeah, fresh off the beach yeah, for the streets yeah, we be making heat yeah, after heat yeah, the chest at night yeah, I wanna write yeah, I can hit it right yeah, all night yeah, wanna bring it to my house yeah, on the couch yeah,
we gotta get it started right, come on.
I wanna see a show yeah, feel it low yeah, let me run it in the hole yeah, no they know yeah, girl you look good, want you back that thing up, you's a big fine woman, want you back that thing up, call me Big Daddy when you back that thing up, girl who is you playing with, back that thing up, girl you look good, want you back that thing up, you's a big fine woman, want you back that thing up, call me Big Daddy when you back that thing up, girl who is you playing with, back that thing up.
I know you can't stand it, stick bandit, the landed, see the draws handed, get it go, get it y'all, gang spit y'all, put the road on the wall, then I hit y'all, feeling kinda lonely, I'm feeling horny, put the piece in the middle like Moni, big stick plumber chick, in a Hummer chick, beat the what like a drummer chick, see that pretty cat, look at that, I love a little hoodie rat, that's a fact, you a big fine, hit it girl, quit it girl, I'm the brother, you hit it girl.
Girl, you look good, want to back that thing up. You's a big fine woman, want to back that thing up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that thing up. Girl, who is you playing with? Back that thing up. Girl, you look good, want to back that thing up. You's a big fine woman, want to back that thing up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that thing up. Girl, who is you playing with? Back that thing up.
After you back it up and stop and rock, drop it like it's hot. After you back it up and stop and rock, drop it like it's hot. Now drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. Look, BMB, make it drop it like it's hot. Look, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. Look, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. Look, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
We still live in the mix, let's go.
One more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. So fresh, so clean, that she put that question big ass and me in the mind. This just fine, I done came to the club at the 11 time. Now can I play with your bandit line? The club on the sky, I need to calm down. Pretty girls gonna swing me now. We go drop down, I'm up, threaten me now.
Getting cook in the club, I mean she work. I like to see the females work. Taking the clothes off, fucking naked. Get a hold on, disrespect me. I'll pop yo like this, nigga, you right crazy. Little Jones from the east side boys with me, and we all like to see. Now bring your up in here, ho, and let me see you get low. If you want this stuff, now take it to the floor. Hey, yeah, on the act, what if you can keep that? Well, yeah. 6 9, one more time. Get low, get low, get low.
You get low if you want to. Come on.
Get low.
You say she in the chair. You already low.
Now, back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Now stop. Oh, then wiggle with it. Yeah. Stop. Oh, then wiggle with it. Yeah. Stop. Oh, then wiggle with it. Yeah. Stop. Oh, then wiggle with it. Wiggle with it. 6 9, 10, 9. One more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the wall. This one I gotta do with the da. Me, I no get time, I did da. Dada cover my face, calling me da. Biggie man, we know they wear da. Tell me, my nigga, what's it gon' G-Wagon, all depend. The girl them, ride the boat. I no fit, die for nothing. My nigga, what's it gon' G-Wagon, all depend. The girl them, ride the boat. I no fit, die for nothing. Make you no say anything when you do, they must commend it. I can't come and keep myself. So anything when you do, I they try to do on my way. I can't come and keep myself. Plenty survive we face. Just to make your money day. But my people then go say I know one fight, I know one die, I know one payment. I want enjoy, I want job life, I want buy motor, I want build house, I still want to know. Tell me, money come, what's it come? G-Wagon, all the Bentley. The girl them, ride the boat. I no fit, die for nothing. My nigga, what's it gonna be? G-Wagon, all the Bentley. The girl them, riding with me. I no fit. Different things them happening, schemes and packaging. In a one night for shows, I'm juggling. Flow like the ocean, my boat, I'm paddling. Sharashina Bella, that's my bro, my family. Frozen dreams. When it comes to money, I take concentrate. Make I tell you straight, you are not my mate. If you become a chef, I'll be head of stage. But my people then go say I know one time.
Hope y'all had a good time this morning.
One time,
I'm gonna turn it back over to the crew, but you know I'll be back.
one time,
We're gonna put the vibes on. This your boy DJ 30 Degree. Step Success Summit. Let's go.
The girl them, ride the boat. I no fit, die for nothing. My nigga, what's it gon' be? G-Wagon, all the Bentley. The girl them, ride the boat. I no fit, die for nothing. Oluwa now. what's going on, y'all? Welcome to day 2 of the STEM Success Summit. I gotta let y'all know we are in an unprecedented time in STEM success history. For the first time ever, we're all together in the same room. This is all of us. It's the whole team, the whole gang, the whole squad is here. Take a good look at these faces because these are the faces of STEM success. We're here in the flesh and we're popping. All right. So look, y'all, if you're ready for day 2 of the STEM Success Summit, I want you to say, hey, with a bunch of Y's, or hi with a bunch of I's. Go ahead, get up in the Hoover chat, say hey with a bunch of A's or hi with a bunch of I's. Also, where you from? Where we from?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina, where we from? Maryland. I'm gonna let y'all finish. But I'm from the south side of Chicago, so we're gonna get it busting up in here. This is day 2 of the STEM Success Summit, and we got a fun time. We're gonna be super engaging today. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors that are supporting us for this initiative. Give it up for our sponsors. We appreciate you. CVS Health, they're coming in as a platinum sponsor this year. We've got University of Santa Clara. We've got North Carolina State University, and we got the Kapoor Center. Thank you all so much for showing love. Yo, this would not be possible without y'all. We're creating a once-in-a-lifetime experience for you right here because of our sponsors. And today, we have an amazing expo, right?
Yes,
Expo's going to be lit. Expo's going to be lit. I want to make sure you get into the chat, talk about the expo, and get in the expo and engage with the expo. So we're going to have all kinds of cool opportunities from our sponsors. Make sure you check out the resume booth in the expo because if you upload your resume there, you actually get your resume put right in front of our sponsors for internship opportunities, job opportunities, fellowship opportunities, scholarship opportunities. We are where the money resides. STEM Success Summit is where the money resides, and we want to put money in your pocket, opportunities in your face, and that's what that is. So make sure that you are participating in that exhibit today. It's gonna be popping, ain't that right? Yeah. Don't miss out. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass it to my homegirl Naomi. She's gonna talk a little bit about some prizes.
I just want to remind you guys that today is the last day to participate in our meme challenge. So if you go to the photo section of the Hoover app, upload your favorite meme of what your STEM Success Summit mood is, what your vibes are. There's some funny ones in there. Keep them coming. Awards will be announced tonight, whoever has the best meme. So keep them coming with the meme challenge, and you'll get a $100 gift card if you win.
That's money.
All right, y'all. So now we're going to kick it off into our next session. We got Nick Bay coming up with our very own Stephanie Castile. She's coming. She's going to kill the game, and we're going to kick it off into her direction. See y'all soon.
Let's go.
Woo! Thank you for that lovely introduction. Okay. All right, welcome. Thank you so much for the kickoff. I'm so excited to announce our next fireside chat. We have Nick Bay. He's an entrepreneur and founder of the world-leading CMOS company, Bay Moss. Born in Elizabeth, New Jersey, Nick is a first-generation Haitian and Moorish American, growing up with a love for computer programming, a summer internship in the IT department of JP Morgan, facilitated by the Development School for the Youth, guided him towards choosing a career in technology. So I want to welcome onto the stage Nick Bay. Round of applause, everybody.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
How are you? Thank you for being with us. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. It's a pleasure to be here. It's great to meet you, and I'm very excited.
Awesome. Well, just to give a little bit more sense of who you are, can you just give us a quick explanation of how you kind of got into STEM before going into your entrepreneurship with Bay Moss?
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I was the type of person to, put stuff together. Actually, my uncle bought a computer when I was really young, and I just remember opening it up, putting it together, and just being so fascinated by it. And so just growing up, I've always just loved technology and everything that it had to offer. And, and I was always an idea guy too. So it was technology and ideas, I put it together, and I felt like it was a great future for me to kind of get involved in.
Awesome. Yeah, like I think we're as being like STEM people, being a naturally tinker is always a good sign that like, maybe STEM is the kind of the route for me. Did you have
Right.
kind of formal training? Did you go to like did you pursue college or like, what's kind of your path into like did you explore that further with like formal education? Like how do you continue to
Right.
foster that creativity?
Yeah, my journey was a little untraditional because when I went to Howard originally, I really wanted to be involved in business, which is funny because when I was interning at Morgan Stanley, it's JP Morgan now, but Morgan Stanley at the time, they put me in the IT department, and I was kind of sad about that, because I wanted to be in the business department. But that was kind of like my first time learning about IT, in a grand scale of things. And when I went to Howard, I still really wanted to do business, but it wasn't until I actually left for a bit and came back, and I enrolled in the School of Engineering, and and I was just kind of learning how to code online first, and that's kind of what made me want to go back to Howard and learn computer science there. So that's kind of, that's where I really, introduced officially STEM to my life is when I went back to Howard and took computer science.
Nice. Before, just a clarification. So, were you pursuing to like teach yourself code, or before going back into Howard, or like, what was your initial, what got you into wanting to even learn code in the first place?
Yeah, so when I initially left Howard, it was I was very involved in the entertainment industry, in the music industry specifically, and I noticed that I was interning at Sony Music. I noticed that technology was not prevalent at all, and I just remember understanding how technology was actually hurting the music industry, being that people were listening, downloading songs for free and not actually purchasing songs and all these
Hmm.
different things. So I actually stepped away from the music industry a bit, and I just told myself like I got to get into technology somehow, some way, and I just end up reading a lot of different books that involve digital technology, and then I found myself learning how to code online, teaching myself. And at the time, I had my little brother. I think he was probably like 12 or so. And I thought it was just so interesting as I was teaching myself that I had him doing the same thing, so I
Nice,
was,
nice.
we both were kind of learning it. And I was like, man, there's a huge future for me in this. And I decided to go back to Howard to learn it, to learn officially, you know what I mean? I think obviously anybody can go online and teach themselves how to code or teach them a lot of different things nowadays. But I just felt that it would have been different if I actually went through with the experience at Howard, being that that was my stomping ground, and it was an amazing decision to do so.
Yeah, I think that's awesome to kind of I don't know. I feel like it's a common theme with a lot of other people within STEM of just kind of like self-teaching their skills until you're like,
Right,
okay, like maybe like let me continue to expand upon this.
right,
Why? I think it's interesting also in terms of like we always separate like music and culture from like STEM, but the fact
yeah,
that it was music that inspired you to continue to pursue STEM, were you
yeah.
wanting to pursue coding in order to go back into the music industry, or like going and learning about it in a more official program, did that expand like your knowledge and horizon of what you wanted to do with computer science?
Yeah, great question. Part of me definitely wanted to take what I've learned to bring it back into the music industry because I did have, um, this huge idea still in my head that I want to execute. We're basically doing a digital recording corporation. And so I had this big idea, and I wanted to code it myself, and I wanted to learn more about it. But honestly, I also, when I left the music industry, I also knew like, look, the music industry is extremely small, but the tech industry is so big and growing so fast. And I knew that, I would be quite all right if I went down that road. And if I end up going back into music, that's great. But, most of my plan was just basically focusing on technology in general, and if it, like I said, if it brought me back into music, that would have just been another plus.
Nice, nice. And
Yeah.
what so what before kind of touching upon like where you went after graduating with your computer science degree, can you just give us like a little intro, or not intro, but a more of elaborate explanation of kind of like why you chose Howard in the first place as your stomping grounds?
Yeah, so honestly, in high school, I was big in I played basketball. I wasn't really serious about school, honestly, until my senior year. I literally just took my entire life much serious, and I sacrificed a lot. And before then, I didn't have any idea where I wanted to go. But when I did decide to change my life around and do better for myself, I just Googled, like, the top schools for minorities, and and Howard came up. So the start of my senior year, I put it in, my forefront that I want to go to Howard. And it was a kind of crazy situation because I'm going through this life-changing experience. I went from having most C's and a couple B's to
Mm-hmm.
getting straight A's.
Nice.
Starting on my senior year, and me and my best friend at the time, we drove down to Howard, and we we spoke to the executive director and basically let them know, like, look, we are highly motivated to go to this school. We're changing our lives. We're letting them know everything that we got going on, and surprisingly to us, they accepted us on the spot. We were the first accepted students in our class, and ever since then, like, I had Howard on my forehead. You know what I mean? I
Nice,
was just
nice.
so excited. And I do want to say, though, I did not graduate with my degree at
Okay.
Howard. I when I came back, I learned computer science, and I went into research development,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how my business started, and things kind of took off, and I had to make that decision if I wanted to stay in DC, or take my talents otherwhere. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's a great pivot too, and also a great pivot to kind of like learning more about like your entrepreneurship journey. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
I guess like how did, so Bay Moss is like a sea moss company. I guess like how did
right.
you even stumble upon that, or yeah, what opened your world to like wanting to go into this business?
Yeah, so basically, before I started Moss, I had my tech company, Relevant Systems, and we were designing and developing applications and softwares for minorities and women. So I was doing that for about 4 years, and and as I was focusing on I wanted to take the company to the next level, and as I was focusing on that, you know, a family member of ours actually was wholesaling CMOS. He
Hmm.
was wholesaling CMOS to businesses. And, my wife uh, interviewed Nipsey Hussle. And when she
Nice.
interviewed Nipsey Hussle, and this is about maybe like 8 months before then, or maybe a little bit more, because obviously he passed. It was probably about a year before he passed. Um, and he talked a lot about Dr. Sebi, which is a famous uh, um, holistic teacher who is known for helping, Left Eye and a lot of other celebrities. He worked with Eddie Murphy. He worked with all these celebrities when it came to natural healing. And CMOS is one of the biggest things he used.
Hmm.
So so this is kind of how my wife Charmaine knew about CMOS, because I'm watching this interview and we got to learn more about Dr. Sebi, which we didn't know nothing about. And so fast forward to my to my family member wholesaling it. You know, I kind of was looking at it, I was like, yo, maybe we should try selling this. You know what I mean? It seems like it's very beneficial to everyone. And so that's exactly what we did. We wholesaled it, and
Nice.
we got the product. It was like in this flimsy packaging. It was pretty bad, actually. And me and my wife went to a wedding that weekend, and you know, my wife has a lot of followers. She has like almost probably about a little under 1 million followers. And she's getting all this engagement, and we're like, yo, maybe we should just put the sea moss out on your Instagram and see what happens.
Yeah.
So we have these like fly. I made these flyers, put the price tag on it, and everybody's DMing us like, "What is it?" And we're telling them, we're informing them, and we sold out on our batch that day. Like the batch that we
Nice.
just got, we sold out that day, and it was so shocking, because we just didn't expect that, and that's kind of how it all started because we looked at where we at, like, okay, this is how we can scale it. Let me design a website. Let me develop a website,
Mhm.
and let me create labels, and let's put this all together and really come out with a plan. And when we started this, it was about 6 months before the COVID, before COVID launched,
Wow.
and yeah, so it was like kind of like perfect timing because that this business ended up helping a lot of folks when it came to being in this pandemic. A lot of our customers have stated, including me and my wife, we haven't gotten sick for since we started the company.
Wow.
So it's just really all about the immunity and making sure that we're taking what we need to take to protect ourselves from different viruses and sicknesses that's out there.
Before going deeper into kind of like the CMOS, more about like what the company is of itself, what was the timeline of this? Like, were you, so like if you didn't, like deciding to leave Howard and then like being with your wife and like starting this company with your like from inspired from your family members, like at what time point was this, I guess?
You said what time frame did we start the company?
Yeah, or like not start, but like where you had the idea. Like, was this right out of,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so this was at the end of 2019, and we had the idea and we executed like literally like 2 weeks later.
Wow.
So by I think I released the website end of December 2019, January 2020, and that's kind of when it took off officially because we were actually selling on our Instagram stories and collecting cash apps. You know what I
Oh my
mean? We didn't
gosh.
have labels or anything,
Nice.
and it's just funny because people just didn't care.
Yeah.
They just wanted, they heard what it was, did their research, and they purchased. And so by January 2020, we had a website, and that's kind of where things actually officially took off.
Did you feel like your background starting in business and then pivoting to computer science and doing some like tech, IT, tech advocacy kind of work, do you feel like all of those combined kind of helped prep you to start this business? Or do you feel like there's like two different worlds that you're kind of have your foot in?
All of it combined, honestly, like everything that I've been through, um, basically prepared me for this moment to be able to execute. The opportunity was there, and we could have just kept things on Cash App,
Hmm.
but being that we had the capabilities of making a website, designing a website, doing all these different things on the digital tech side, and also using social media, which is a digital tech platform, to promote and market. And
Exactly.
so it's bringing everything together. There's still so much things that we need to do, and when it comes to scaling this business, digital tech is 100% needed to do so.
Yeah. I think what were the biggest skills you find yourself using kind of like on the day to day running your business?
I would say research and development for sure. That's kind of how I started Relevant. I had a research development project in Cameroon, and we had to design a weather station. Because they don't have their own weather stations or where they can collect their own data and tell you what the weather is. They actually look up in the sky and kind of guess exactly what they need to do. And unfortunately, this country is they make most of their money with crop production. So
Hmm.
we went out there, designed and developed the first portable weather station, and that took a lot of research and development, and that's pretty much one of the big pillars in the business I'm in. As far as Baymos, we started off with one product, and we have been able to extend it to over 30 products.
Nice.
And that came from researching and understanding what the people need and what the people want. And we develop these products, and people love it. So it's just really about scaling that, continue to research and keep our ear to the ground to understand what's not out there or what problems we can solve. You know, besides research and development, I would say, designing and developing the website. It's not an application. Well, it's a web application, but it's not like a mobile application, which is what I primarily was doing. But people don't understand, like, as far as like with tech, you create a website, you're in the tech space. You know what I mean? You're in e-commerce, you're in the tech space. So, a lot of the things that I've learned at Howard, kind of prepared me to be able to create what I've created and hopefully scale it up to the skies.
Did you also develop your research skills in Howard as well, or was that something independent? Like, was this like an external internship, something on your own? Like, how did you get plugged into going into Cameroon?
100% Howard, which is why, like, I always just very thankful that I was able to go back to Howard. They opened me, they had me in with open arms, and I was able to secure a research and development project with the National Science Foundation.
Nice.
And actually, before I went to Cameroon, I was doing a few other research projects, and that's kind of when I understood, like, man, this is something I'm really interested in. And I had the opportunity to go to Cameroon, and it was just an amazing experience, and I thank Howard so much because I was able to meet amazing, brilliant engineers in Cameroon that spoke the same language as me. They might be that language barrier, but through engineering, we were able to speak directly and cohesively. You know what I mean? And it opened my eyes to so much. And even coming back to the States, the people that I met in Cameroon were the people that I started my tech company with. It was an ecosystem that we created with engineers and designers all in Cameroon and other countries in Africa. It was an amazing experience. One of my good friends I met out there actually is getting his master's at Harvard, and he works at GE, and just an extremely impressive brother. And it was just eye opening, honestly.
I think the interdisciplinariness of everything going into just like the STEM, the business, and even just
Right.
like your creative background as well. I think it just speaks volumes to kind of like the power and where can it can take you with all of that. I want to also dive deeper into kind of your tech company. We kind of glanced over it once or twice already in some of your responses, but can you just give us a little
Sure.
bit more background about that endeavor?
Yeah. So Relevant Systems was one of my first companies that I've started, and it really truly started in Cameroon. And when I left Cameroon, I was connected with all these amazing engineers, and while I was in Cameroon, I was building the ideas and the concepts. So by the time I got to the US, I made it official, and my mission was to create as many women and minority tech entrepreneurs. You know, if you know anything about mobile development, is extremely expensive. And through my connections, I was able to create a model that I can follow to be able to help others create their own ideas. So through social media, I offered a extremely low service to minorities and women, and they would basically come with an idea, and we would create enterprise architecture, basically documentation, detailing the idea. We would design it from the ground up, and then develop it in iOS and Android, and then put it into the stores. So it was kind of a full spectrum process, and it just basically gave people the opportunity to create an MVP or a little bit more than that, and have a starting ground, somewhere to start, because obviously when you come out with an app, uh, you build it, and then there's just a whole bunch more after. You know what I mean? You got to promote it, you got to market it, you got to do quality assurance, you got to update it. So we were just able to basically, being that it's so expensive, we were able to give a low cost method. I mean, basically a low cost way of designing and developing applications and softwares for minorities and women.
Nice. Was there a specific reason as to why you focused on minorities and women for doing like the MVP of your product?
Honestly, I think after when I came back from Cameroon, I wanted to continue to be in our community because even when I was there and we did the weather station and we were able to, do something we were able to do something for the community and the people, that kind of was like my motivation to start the company. So I still wanted to stay within my community. And eventually I did want to branch out overall, and that's kind of where the gray area was when I started Baymos.
Yeah.
And that kind of just took my attention, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna this is taking off. This is a family business. Let me put more thought and attention to this so I can ensure that it's a success.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think how logically you're kind of thinking through all of your business endeavors is really and fascinating to kind of learn about. I want to pivot back towards your Baymos, and so I guess how are you taking what you've learned in developing your tech app into how you went to approach Baymos, or was like more of the spontaneity when it came to developing Baymos?
Yeah, so I look at it as somebody could have came to me and said, "Hey, I want to do an app for a CMOS type of company," and it's basically the services that I would give out, I basically gave it to me. You know what I mean? So I went through this process of dealing with more than 25 projects, you know what I mean, for the past 3 years. And so everything I've learned within that time frame when it came to, project management, designing, developing, is what I brought to Baymos. When
Okay.
I first started Baymos, I was the one designing and developing. But once it started catching on fire, that's when I brought my team in, and we just took it to the next level. And still to this day, the same team that I have with Relevant is the team that's managing Baymos. To make sure that we're continuously updating it and creating different strategic, you know, models that I can add in the business model, because it's not just just selling products. On the website, there's different ways that you can monetize. When it comes from email marketing to selling on social media, you know what I mean, and SMS marketing. So it's always stuff to learn and do and implement, and that's kind of where we at now. Is just trying to be lean and trying to scale up.
I think this brings me to a really good question I got from the audience is how many people are on your team versus companies and capabilities you outsource?
So we have about we have about 10 people on the team. We I no longer outsource anymore. When I had Relevant, it was about half and half. Now that I only focus on Baymos, and I do have other companies that I'm jump starting, it's basically all in house at this point. We're just an in house team, and I have best friends that are now partners of mine on Baymos that moved out here to Chicago where I'm at, and yeah, it's a small knit family.
Nice. I think, at least for me in my own kind of like entrepreneurship journey, there's always like the hesitation to like bring friends on board. I
Right.
guess like how are you going about in terms of like making sure you're choosing a team that's going to see the vision that you have as well as like, be solid partners for you as you're going into this next scale up portion of your business?
Yeah, that's a major question, because I know the advantages of bringing friends on board, you know what I mean, versus people that you don't know. But it is a risky decision because you never know what can happen. Those friends could have a different mindset than you, and can turn on you. It may not be your friend anymore after it, which unfortunately I had to deal with that. But the friends that I have as partners, I with them, these are like they're like their family, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like from day one, and I trust them with anything and everything. And so I feel like if you are thinking or considering or being in business with a friend, make sure it's like your real friend. Like where if you guys had differences, it's not toxic. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with having disagreements.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it at all. I don't want people to be yes men around me. I would rather you tell me like it is. And so it's you got to be very careful on who you bring on. Especially like with personalities. And you know some people may feel like they don't want to be a follower, so it's like a pride thing too. So you got to really dissect who your friend or family is, and see like would this be a good fit for them and a good fit for me. Luckily I got two guys that are selfless and just great people. They have integrity, they have morals, and they trust me and I trust them. So because of that, I wanted to make sure that I give them a piece of the pie, and it's not just a situation where they're working for me. We're working alongside each other, and we're working for a bigger goal here.
That is a very healthy way to approach it. And I commend you for that because that takes a
Right.
lot. That takes a lot. I guess that brings me up to another question that I have for you. I guess like what are other challenges that you faced as you continue to think about or continue to develop Bay Moss and grow? Like what other barriers have you faced as an entrepreneur?
I would say, dealing with, bringing people on board. There was one that didn't work out well and kind of ruined the relationship. And I think that was probably one of the biggest struggles because it caught me off guard. Besides that, I think the biggest struggles that I had early on was, supply and demand issues. When COVID was going on, we weren't expecting such a virality moment. So
Mm-hmm.
there was points where we were so delayed, it was like crazy. Where we people had to wait a little bit, because everything sold out way faster than we thought. And at that time, I didn't have inventory controls and numbers going on. It was kind of just guerrilla style,
Mm-hmm.
moving with the flow. So, you know, that I'm glad that happened because I learned, and we were able to, have a more lock on inventory, and understanding when it's time to, buy more inventory. And because at that time the customer service was just like we were getting so many emails, and then US we were at USPS too, so a lot of packages
Oh
were not
no.
yeah, not getting delivered. You probably use
Yeah.
USPS. A
Yeah.
lot of packages were not being delivered, so we're talking about so many refunds.
Uh,
But it's all part of the e-commerce business, man. We refunded those that we needed to, and we made it right with everybody. And we get to the point now that we don't have any of those issues now. So sometimes it's good to have things like that happen so you can learn from it. Learning, failure is literally the best teacher, my best teacher. I've learned so much with failing, and that's all about business. It's about learning from your failures. Life too.
yeah. 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 I think as a scientist, failure is also like the biggest motivator as
Right.
well as like the biggest life learner or lesson learner,
100%.
whatever that you get into.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I have another question from the audience.
Okay.
Any tips for folks who are just starting out on social media?
Yes. Social media. Yeah.
I know it's kind of like a broad question.
Yeah, because I'm like thinking like, okay, because I mean, when you think of social media, eventually you want to sell something, I guess, or you want to promote your services, or create a brand. So I would say, first and foremost, kind of look for people that you admire or that's doing something that you're doing, and kind of see, like, go all the way down to when they first started posting and see how they got to the point that where they at. Being consistent is a big thing. I'm on social media, but I'm not consistent. I kind of use it. I don't use it for business purposes like that, like I should do, because I have like 200,000 followers. But I do know that what I need to do is be consistent. I need to have a schedule. I need to be on top of all of that, and I need to understand my audience. I need to know what they want to see and what they want to hear about. and just continue to inform them and give them that great content. And so when it comes to social media, it just all depends on what you're doing. And I would just kind of get some mentors, you know, where, okay, this is somebody I want to, be like, and just kind of follow it and see the plan and make your own plan and just execute it.
Yeah, I think, man, I feel like now everyone has to have like a business background in order to succeed in social media, just because now there's so many opportunities for it. And even thinking
Yeah.
about like during the COVID time with like I feel like I'm on TikTok way too much. And just seeing how like almost there's a lot of people that like that did end up losing their jobs, but ended up starting their own like mini small company, and how social
Right.
media, they're able to leverage social media to kind of like continue to develop it, which reminds me of kind of like Bay Moss and how you kind of took advantage of the following that your wife already had, and
Right.
taking that as your platform to kind of distribute your product. So I think I commend you for that. Okay, so one more, or not, a few more questions, but oh, I totally lost it. But I guess I think you brought up mentors. Were there any people that were very pivotal or as role models in your endeavors into whatever, either your STEM background, your app development, as well as your Bay Moss in terms of like this business? Are there any people that you kind of looked up to or leaned towards in order to develop your ideas?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I actually got that internship at Morgan Stanley, I was actually in a youth development, it's a youth development group, um, and it allowed me to basically, like, through that development, through that development school, we would go to corporate America, go to different like, Morgan Stanley, Dell. We were going to all these different companies, um within that group there was a lot of mentors that were helping us and showing us the way into, STEM and just corporate America in general. But I would say fast forwarding to, at the time of Relevant Systems, I did have a handful of mentors that, not they weren't all in technology. They actually all were doing different things. They were in business. But I had one of my mentors, Mike Eisem, who was like this genius. He was a computer scientist and engineer. He was a genius, and he kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of tech, and I kind of just was following his footsteps, and what made me take a lot of different things seriously was him confirming my ideas. Like, yo, this is a really smart idea, and it took that to kind of let me know, like, yo, I should really try to execute these ideas, because at the time it was just all in my head, and ideas not executed, it doesn't turn into anything. So I think that my mentors really helped me, push me to do what I need to do, because at the time I felt like I wanted a handout from them. You know what I mean? Like, they
Yeah.
all were successful, and I'm like, man, like, this is hard. Like,
Yeah, give
let
me
me
a little
work for
bit,
you
please.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but they never did, and I'm so thankful, because it kind of, allowed me to truly figure out what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and then started my entrepreneurial journey. You know what I mean? And so I'm super thankful for the group of people that was in my corner.
I think that speaks volume to their mentorship as well, in terms of like, yeah, like seeing the, oh, what is it, like seeing it in you that you can do it for yourself, and kind of like, being that person to push you off the ledge and to allow you to do it,
Right.
instead of just kind of taking them and, you working for them. You're like, no, they saw the potential. There you go. They saw the potential for you to actually like run your own business and be.
Right. Right. I think the audio cut out. I'm not sure if that's me. Oh,
Okay,
there you go.
do you
You're
hear
back.
me?
You're back. Yeah,
Okay.
you're back. I was like, what's
All
going
right.
on?
My bad, my bad.
No,
Okay,
it's okay.
so I have one more question for you before I turn it over to the audience as well.
Okay.
Are you trying to continue kind of that mentoring, like what you received from your mentors? Are you trying to kind of expand that within your own business, or reaching out to others to kind of like mentor them as well? What does mentorship mean to you?
Yeah, so when I started Relevant Systems, we were, besides servicing, minorities and women. We actually had an internship program, which was over 100 kids. We 100, and most of them were actually overseas, in Africa that didn't have the funds to be able to learn how to code or learn how to do things in design and stuff like that. So I was able to partner up with a company that allowed them to have a free membership. So we had about, I think it was about 140 interns, a majority women, that were learning how to code. I think in the future or even now, I'm definitely interested in mentoring, development school of youth that I was telling you about, DSY, that was started in New Jersey, I believe. I'm still connected with them, and any opportunities that I have, I try to give back because they still have amazing programs, even one here in Chicago as well, where they have inner city youth learning about corporate America and business, and they provide them with internships. So it's an amazing opportunity for the youth, and anything that I could do for them, I've always been trying to, and I'm open to definitely continuing the mentorship because it's super helpful, man. Like if I never started that, if I never joined the DSY, Development School of Youth,
Hmm.
I honestly don't know where I would be. It allowed me to really see what corporate America is about, and yeah, it just kind of opened my eyes into the tech world even more. And I'm still in it, so
Yeah.
it worked out.
That's amazing. I think I relate a lot to your story in terms of being a part of those types of programs too, to kind of like open up the world and the possibilities that we can do.
Amazing.
All right. So another question from the audience: what are some of the pitfalls to watch out for on social media when building your brand?
Some of the pitfalls. Okay. Um, I would say, okay, for example, like I was saying, you should find a mentor. I mean, find somebody that you admire and you want to kind of see what they've been doing. I think some of the pitfalls could be copying, like literally screenshotting and reposting and not doing original content. That's never good. If you are on social media to build your brand and to sell, um, don't post things that has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? You should cater your social media solely to the mission of what you're on social media for, and work rigorously to be better on there and provide amazing content that people will want to see and share. Because that's basically how things catch on fire. If you're telling them or informing them something interesting or something funny, people share it to somebody else,
Hmm.
because it makes them feel important when somebody else says, "Oh, thank you for sharing this. Thank you for putting me onto this." So that's how things catch on fire, and go viral. So I think that, social media, it could, it's a lot of fakeness on social media. So I think that part of the one of the pitfalls for sure would be just falling into that and not being authentic, and just being you got to be organic. You got to be different. It's nothing wrong with doing the TikTok dances
Yeah.
and pointing at different things. You know what I
Oh
mean?
no. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But don't only do that. Do different things. Try to be creative and try to see what else people are doing that's working, and kind of push the needle a little bit.
Yeah, that pointing at different things is always like my like just a pet peeve for some reason. Just gets underneath
Yeah.
my skin. All right,
I
last
see it so
question.
much. I'm like,
I
man, it
know.
must work.
Exactly, right? It's a formula at this point. Okay, last question to close it off our sessions onto something very lighthearted in a sense.
Okay.
We have a question. What's it like to be on a reality show?
What's it like to be on a reality show? Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. Reality TV.
We can leave it
It's
as that too, it's an
yeah,
experience.
yeah. It's
Uh,
uh, it's an experience, I would say. I was on reality TV supporting my wife from day one. My wife is on Black Ink Crew Chicago on VH1, and when I left Cameroon, I moved to Chicago because our relationship was it ended up like our friendship ended up turning into a relationship, and I work online, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll move to Chicago. I love Chicago, and you know, when you fall in love with somebody in reality TV, there's no way you can avoid being on TV. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've always been the behind the scenes guy. You know, I've came up with a lot of artists. At the time they weren't known, but they're big artists now. So I've always been the behind the scenes guy. You know, I was a manager. You know what I mean? So I never cared to be in front of the camera. You know, but until you know, my wife now, you know, we hit it off well, and you know, I had to be that. I had to be. I had to show up for her. You know what I mean? You know, she's in a relationship that she loves. She loves somebody, and I had to represent. And you know, so that's the reason why I am on reality TV. But it's honestly one of the most craziest, most uncomfortable things I have to deal with in my
Yeah.
entire life. And but you know, anything for my wife.
I think that's a true testament to the relationship of just like,
Exactly.
you
Oh yeah.
know, like, cause like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
relationship to reality TV, you know, thinking of that. So that's awesome. That's awesome to
Exactly.
hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you so much, Nick Babe. This has been such
Oh,
an
thank you.
awesome conversation. You've just shared a lot of wisdom and insight into kind of your journey, and hoping that it relates a lot to our audiences and that people can kind of pick up and learn from you so they can kind of carry that on into their own personal STEM or entrepreneurship endeavor. So thank you once again for joining us today.
Oh no, thank you. It was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate it. And shoot, I hope we can extend this conversation. I can learn more about you.
Yes, yes, I'll look forward to that. I'm gonna actually follow through with that.
Nice, nice.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Neek. I'm going to hand it back over to the STEM Success team, where we'll just do last minute announcements before kicking it off to what we have rest in store for today. So thank you everyone for joining me.
Hey!
Good job, Stephanie.
Great job, everybody. Everybody at your homes, give a round of applause. Show Stephanie can steal some love in the chat. And thank you. Thank you so much, Neek Babe, for sharing that inspirational story, dropping some gems on how to become an entrepreneur, what it takes to stay as a successful entrepreneur. And Stephanie, here she is. She's back with us. She
Studio A.
killed it back in Studio A. So, folks, I want to give you all a amazing reminder. Don't miss out on all the opportunity that's available at the exhibitor booths. There's a bunch of cool stuff going on there. Again, I want to shout out our sponsors. CVS Health coming in as a platinum sponsor this year.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Health.
thank you.
University of Santa Clara, we've got the Kapoor Center, and we've got North Carolina State University, all with booths set up with opportunities for you that includes internships, scholarships, job opportunities, all kind of amazing stuff out there.
Yeah.
Again, the STEM Success Summit is where the money resides, so we want to make sure that we're getting you the opportunities in your hands. So that's where we're going next. Everybody, open up your Hoover apps if you're not in there already, and go into the exhibitor booths. Click on those booths and see all the cool links that are in there just for you. All right. See y'all really soon.
Yeah.